Good morning and welcome to our 2022 series of professional education webinars. This morning we have Herman Walker with Pressalit, which is a Danish company that features mobility products for kitchen and bath, and Herman will talk about that in a moment. We have a program coming up next month and one in, I think next month, March, and so forth. So just check the schedule. Sign up if you would for each month individually. I could have you sign up in mass, but in case there's a month or something where it doesn't work for you, just sign up for each class individually. Happy New Year to everyone. And without further ado, here's Herman.
Well, thank you very much. First, before I begin, I just wanted to thank Steve and thank the members of this organization. This is just a fantastic opportunity, and I really appreciate your time and hospitality today. First, as Steve mentioned, my name is Herman Walker. I am the National Sales Director for Pressalit. And what Pressalit is a company based 100% in Denmark. It was founded in 1954, and the goal of Pressalit is just to make kitchens and bathroom areas as accessible as possible to everyone, regardless of their mobility levels, And so that is kind of the mission statement or the thesis of the company, if you will. And so from a company standpoint, Pressalit is very well known, obviously in Denmark, throughout the Scandinavian countries, and all across Europe. If you've had the chance to travel in Europe and gone into public restrooms in France or the United Kingdom or Germany, there's a strong likelihood that there are Pressalit products there. Pressalit also does a lot of business in Asia, particularly China, Japan, and now increasingly in South Korea. One of the goals of the company, and quite frankly, one of the reasons why I was hired, was that we want to try to bring some of these innovative features and benefits into the United States market. And so with that, I guess as a backdrop, I have prepared a quick presentation today. There's a lot of video in it, just to kind of give everyone in the audience here just a kind of a general overview of what Pressalit is about, what our products are about, and hopefully some of the takeaway from this will be you can kind of see how some of Pressalit's products and applications can be useful to clients or people of various mobility types, whether they're in a home, public setting, whatever the situation might be. So with that, I am going to go ahead and begin. And so the name of this presentation is Accessibility, Kitchen and Bathroom Design. And I thought I would open up with a quick video here, which kind of summarizes what the Pressalit Care philosophy is. And so I'm going to go ahead and play this video now.
In institutions welcoming elderly or disabled people, assistive technologies play an important role in enhancing both the lives of residents and carers. Many bedrooms already benefit from flexible technical solutions. Adjustable products provide a high level of comfort for residents and better working conditions for carers. Most bathrooms, however, are still equipped with fixed products, regardless of the age, size, weight, and ability of users. But there is a solution. The Pressalit Care Plus wall track system also brings flexibility to bathrooms by making elements such as wash basins, shower chairs, and support arms fully adjustable in height and sideways movement. This way, Pressalit Care makes the daily care process fully flexible, meeting the individual needs of each resident. For example, a disabled person who can no longer take a shower sitting on a chair can be lifted from their bed, moved to the bathroom through a ceiling hoist, and placed on a shower changing bench adjusted to the correct height. Or another disabled person who depends on a wheelchair can be transferred to a toilet lifter, where the support arms are adjusted just at the right height. The resident keeps their dignity. The carer benefits from better working conditions. Equipping bathrooms with adjustable products will maintain the high level of comfort already found in bedrooms. Flexible bedroom technology plus Pressalit Care. The full solution for care institutions, bedside, transfer, and bathside.
So that is a look, I guess, at what the Pressalit Care philosophy is about. And basically how these products work is they are, as you saw in the video, they're adjustable. And because they are adjustable, it means that once these products are in place, regardless as to whether a person is tall, short, if they're a standing user or a seated user, they all can have equal access to the restroom, and they can all use the products and design elements in the restroom the way they were intended. So when we're talking about, let's say from a facility standpoint, when you're using this type of technology, number one, it can certainly help to meet the budget needs of a particular facility because you're able to use a smaller footprint while still maintaining that accessibility that a facility might want to make sure that all of their users have adequate space and their needs are met in the restroom. It also can help with ADA requirements. Just as an example here, you can see this is, if you see where my cursor is, this is a very generic drawing of a restroom, but you can see under the old ADA guidelines, there is a 60-inch turn radius that's required in a public restroom that's handicapped accessible. This turn radius is actually will actually soon be 67 inches instead of 60 inches. But you can see here with this design feature, because in this case, we have a shower chair that can fold up against the wall and can be moved along a wall track. And in this particular example, we have a sink that can also be moved laterally along a wall track. In this small space, we are still able to meet ADA guidelines. And at the same time, we are able to provide, as we move along, we'll see much better care and much better usability for the user in the restroom. So with a smaller footprint, we're better able to meet ADA criteria and at the same time provide better services for the people that are using our restrooms. So we're talking about here from a standpoint of a facility, a cost savings, better able to meet ADA and other state guidelines and policy procedures, better technology, which means the users can maintain their independence. They may not require assistance because they will have movable parts which fit them each individually. And lastly, as someone who is privileged enough to work with a lot of assisted living facilities and hospitals, this is very marketable. If you think about an assisted living facility, when they're advertising to bring residents into their facility, the residents that are arriving there, they want to remain independent when they're using the restroom. And so these types of products, because they are height adjustable, it means that someone in a wheelchair can maintain their independence. If you're talking about a private home for someone who wishes to stay in their home, where maybe you have a spouse and one spouse is a standing user and another spouse might be a seated user, they can both comfortably use the same restroom because these products are height adjustable. So it's very marketable and it provides a solution that is truly usable for all people. So To begin, when we're talking about products in the bathroom, I thought that we would begin with sinks. And so when we're talking about height adjustable sinks, there are 3 different types of height adjustable sinks that are currently on the market. If you notice here where my cursor is, this sink is a gas operated height adjustable sink. If you see this knob here, it works off of a hydraulic system. If you think about the way the trunk of a car would work, when you lift up the trunk and lower the trunk of your car, you'll see this kind of a hydraulic system that can assist in the raising and lowering of that trunk door. This sink operates the same way. This next sink over here, this is a manually height adjustable sink. If you see where my cursor is and you see that black knob there, you just turn this black knob and the sink will raise and lower to the appropriate height for the user. And then this last example here, this is a motorized height adjustable sink, which is far and away the most popular. In the version that Pressalit sells, there are even buttons here on the edge of the sink where a person in a wheelchair could just wheel themselves up to the wheelchair, and then you can hit the button here up or down and the sink will raise and or lower appropriately. There's even a version that comes with a remote control where you can use a remote control to raise and lower the sink. So when we're talking about why that's important, I like to use this guide here. If I can go back, there we go. Because this is really important, because a lot of times when we're thinking about accessibility for all people, sadly, people that are in a wheelchair too often get left out. And so as we can see in this example, if you see these purple arrows going up and down, that is to symbolize that this sink is height adjustable. And so we have our user that is a seated user. This user is in a wheelchair. And you see that because we have a height adjustable sink here, this seated user is able to use the sink properly. The user is able to properly square themselves up to the sink. The sinks are also designed so that a person that may have disability in their arms, they're still able to get to the tap so that they can properly wash their hands, so that they can brush their teeth, comb their hair, whatever that they need to do at the sink. The last part down here, and this is something as we get into the design elements when we're working with the architect or the construction planner, whenever possible, we like to make sure that there is room here for their feet so that the feet can properly glide underneath the sink basin so that, sensitive computer here, so that their feet can properly slide underneath the sink basin. So again, so they can square up and properly use the sink. And the benefits of this sink is that if we're talking about a private residence or if we're talking about a public residence, this doesn't have to be a bathroom or a sink that is designed specifically for a person that's in a wheelchair. Because this sink is height adjustable, a standing user and a seated user can both use this sink properly without any difficulty. In fact, a standing user will oftentimes go in and they'll use a Pressalit sink, and they may not even realize that this sink is also equally usable for someone who's in a wheelchair. These sinks also have application for children and also for the elderly. If you think about as we age, a lot of times, and I actually see this with my mother because my mother is getting older and she recently had a stroke, where a lot of times she might get up and her ability might be pretty good in the morning, where maybe she might be using the sink while she's standing. But then as we get into the afternoon and the evening hours, her mobility level has a tendency to go down. And so as a result of that, I can lower the sink, or maybe if she needs to use a walker or wheelchair later on that evening, she still has full usability with the sink. So from the standpoint of the sink design, not only is it good for people of all mobility levels, but it's also good for people whose mobility levels are changing over a long period of time or over a short period of time.
Herman, we had a question.
Oh, yes.
Battery backup, or what kind of provision is there on the motorized versions for a power outage?
It's just a standard power outage. It's designed, we have a US designed power outage. And so basically all you would need is just your standard plug-in cable. And in terms of the wattage that is used.
No, but if the power goes out, what provision is there for it to still run?
Oh, if the power goes out, they're required to have a safety element that will lower it to the ground. And so like you see with a manual, see if I can go back here. See this manual? You can lower it to the ground, you can lower it to the ground manually. It's very much like if you have like a ceiling lifts, like if you work with ceiling lifts, if you were to have difficulty with power outages, then there's a safety parameter in place so you can't raise or lower it if a person is in place while the power goes out, if they're in a ceiling lift, if that makes any sense.
All right, keep going.
Okay, so this next video that I wanted to show you, this was actually done by one of our engineers that works in Denmark, and she is going to show us some of the additional features of the Matrix height adjustable sink.
Introducing the Matrix Medium, a wash basin built on years of experience.
My name is Annemette. I'm an industrial designer and I work at Pressalit Care in Denmark. The challenge for wheelchair users at an ordinary sink is getting access to the water because there's no room for the legs and no room for footrests of the wheelchair. Products for people with disabilities are often stigmatizing, and with this product we really wanted to make something that's both practical and also aesthetically pleasing.
And the result was the Matrix Medium wash basin, a wash basin that meets all the essential needs of the user.
The new Matrix Medium is designed to suit all users, both users in wheelchairs and standing users. If we look at the integrated handles, they are designed to be comfortable and easy to grip. They're really stable and help you keep your balance while you're washing your hands. Looking right at the bottom, you also see that there's room for your feet, so you can get very close to the sink and reach the faucet. Using the grab bars, it's easy for me to pull myself towards the sink. And on each side of me, there's plenty of space for my elbows, which will help me keep my balance while washing my face or my hands. This space also provides plenty of room for storage to keep my cosmetics or soap. The curved front reduces the distance between the user and the faucet, making it easier to wash your hands, especially for people with disabilities in their arms. In the Matrix Medium, there's a high focus on hygiene all around the sink. If we look inside, there's rounded corners that make sure that the sink does not collect any dirt. And when we look at the front, we both have the integrated handles in one material, and then we have the integrated electrical panel to height adjust the sink. Also, the cover is totally flush with the surface of the sink, making it easy to wipe with the cloth. With all these hygienic details, the Matrix Medium will reduce the spread of bacteria and the risk of infection. We made the Matrix Medium because we believe it's important that people are self-reliant and keep living.
And so that is a look at the Matrix Medium sink. And one thing the last answer I gave, I just wanted to clean that up a little bit. The Matrix sink, if you have the powered version and the power goes out, that the sink will just stop. So it won't move up or down or anything. What I was trying to, what was poorly worded, go back and show you was that if you have the manual sink will continue to go up and down because it's operated manually. But if the power goes out, then the the matrix sink that's the power version will just stop right there and you won't be able to move it up and down, if that answers the question a little bit better. So this picture here, this is actually the Denmark Paralympic team. And this just wanted to highlight the idea that you have one sink and you can see regardless as to the height or the mobility level of each user, they're all able to use the sink properly and the way it is intended to use. Lastly, with the sink section of the presentation, that I like to point out two things. Number one, from an infection control standpoint, when you're talking about bacteria, all of those types of elements, this is really good because you'll notice it's designed to have a very smooth surface. The plumbing is all encapsulated on the inside of this shell. And so from a wipeability standpoint, all your facilities, your hospitals, your assisted living facilities, they're all going to have an infection control program. This works really well to help with that. And then secondly, this is kind of a personal opinion, but the Danish engineering, these pieces look really pretty. They are beautiful to look at. They come in a lot of different sizes, a lot of different designs. You can get corner pieces, side pieces. There are a lot of different ways you can put this together, but they have a tendency to look really nice. And so when you're talking about making an addition in someone's home, or you're talking about a facility, they're going to like the way these products look once they're installed. So this next video, I wanted to show because I wanted to go over why flexibility matters, especially for hospitals and assisted living facilities. But this same flexibility aspect also applies for private homes as well, because a lot of times, unless the person is living by themselves, they're going to need flexibility at home too, especially if you're talking about a spouse, or you're talking about maybe a family with children where maybe only one person has a disability and they want to have a restroom that's suitable for that person. And so having these products that are flexible, it really benefits everyone. And so I'm going to play this video right now.
We all are aging, just in different ways. Based on factors such as mobility, sensory abilities, cognitive abilities, and physical characteristics. Each individual has different needs. The number of variations is enormous. This is a huge challenge when building healthcare facilities, especially in planning care bathrooms. Every user has individual care and space requirements. Most products are fixed to the wall and not adjustable. Often a nurse or caregiver is needed to assist, costing time and lowering resident self-esteem. That's why we developed, with advice from specialists and users, Pressalit Plus. Our flexible wall track system makes bathroom equipment easily adjustable to fit the unique needs of each individual user. The resident remains independent. The nurse saves precious time. For example, in one bathroom with 1 to 2 different users per year, whose health conditions may change often, up to 10 adjustments might be required. Thus, in a nursing home with 60 bathrooms, and over a time period of 15 years, as many as 9,000 different adjustments could be required. The Pressalit Plus system is infinitely adjustable, without tools or special skills. No need to fully equip each bathroom. If a resident is no longer able to use the products, they can easily be used in another room. Economical and efficient. The Pressalit Plus wall track system, bathroom aids, plus flexibility, plus comfort, plus individuality, plus independence, plus safety. Pressalit Plus.
And so that's a look at the Pressalit wall track and why it's important. And so here is the wall track. And wall tracks are important because first, they're easy to install. And once you have a wall track in place, then you're pretty much good to go. Because when we're talking about the support arms and we're talking about the shower chairs, all of those other elements, they freely attach on and off a wall track. Number one, this gives you great flexibility in terms of designing a particular bathroom because you can add or subtract support arms or towel bins or trash bins or whatever you want to do at will. And so you're able to constantly change the configuration of the bathroom to best meet the demand of whoever you're catering to. For instance, here in Indiana, we just completed doing a hospital up in northern Indiana. And one thing that I tell them is that, and one of the reasons why they like Pressalit is, in addition to the fact that our support arms are height adjustable, meaning that regardless to the size, the girth, or the ability level of each individual user, they can set up the support arms so that they work properly. One of the benefits of this system is that they can set up their restrooms to meet the demand of their users at that given time. For instance, if you think about an ICU room in a hospital, there may be a situation where a hospital may want this particular ICU room, let's say, to be a children's ICU room. And so they can configure a restroom that's suitable for children. And then maybe 5 or 10 years later, instead of being a children's ICU area, maybe they want to move into bariatrics. And now they want their ICU room to be a bariatric ICU room. Well, if they have the Pressalit wall track and the Pressalit products installed in the restroom, it is very easy. In minutes, they can convert their restroom from a restroom suitable for children to a restroom that's suitable for bariatric users. And so that wall track really gives you flexibility to basically set up a restroom any way that you want to meet the demands of the user. So this is the shower chair. Much like the sink, it comes in a wide variety of styles, colors, sizes. You can pretty much get whatever you want. The important element with this shower chair is that it can be moved laterally. If you see where my cursor is, it can be moved laterally along the wall track here. And it's also height adjustable, which is also very, very important. When we're talking about fall risk, fall prevention, I'm probably preaching to the audience a little bit here, but I think everyone knows that in a person's home, a fall is most likely to occur in the bathroom. And in the bathroom where a fall is most likely to occur is while the person is washing. And so if we can develop restrooms and shower areas that can help to prevent falls, that can be very, very important in terms of keeping people who want to stay at home in their homes. And then also for your facilities, your assisted living facilities, your hospitals, all of whom will have a fall prevention program, having proper tools in place in the shower area to prevent those falls can be very, very important. And so some of the things that we like to look at when we're talking about showering, when we're looking at balance, stability, and security. Again, if you see these purple arrows here, this indicates that our shower chair is height adjustable. That means that regardless as to the height or no matter how tall our person is or what the mobility level of our person, we can make sure that we get a proper fit. with their feet easily planted on the floor so that they have a firm stance, if you will, when they're taking the shower. Also, when we're talking about the height adjustability of the shower, if we have a person that's in a wheelchair and wishes to remain independent, having a shower chair that's height adjustable can really help them when it comes to making transfers from the wheelchair to the shower chair and then back from the shower chair to the wheelchair. So this setup can also really, really help to keep a person independent. So when we're looking at how best to design a shower area for an individual user, just to give you a little bit about my background, I have been very, very fortunate where I've had the privilege of working with a lot of hospitals and a lot of assisted living facilities. And I specialized in fall prevention programs, including putting in fall prevention programs at several veterans hospitals, the Indiana University Health System, and a lot more. And when you look at, when I would go in and do inspections to grade various facilities and to see what those facilities could do to improve the usability of their showering areas, as well as help to limit the falls that the users might be having in this type of environment. One of the first things that you always see, and you will see this anytime you tour an assisted living facility, if you look down here in the corner, it's pretty much universal that when you have a shower chair, you always put the shower chair in the corner here. And the reason why is that this is where your tap is, where your faucet would be. And you want to put your shower chair in here so that for the person that wants to remain independent, whether that be an elderly person that just prefers to sit when they're showering because they may not be able to stand for long periods, or a lot of times the flooring can be slippery, which can lead to a fall, so it's safer for them to be seated. And also for a wheelchair user that wants to remain independent when they're showering, they'll put the shower chair in the corner so that they can have access to the tap. That works wonderfully well if the user is independent. However, if the user is a dependent user, and this user is someone that requires assistance, this has a tendency not to work very well. But with the Pressalit wall track system, because the shower chair can be moved horizontally as well as vertically, if you look in this example here, for a user that requires assistance, the shower chair can simply be moved out more into the middle of the floor. And now for the caretaker has what I like to call a half moon access of care all the way around the shower chair. This puts the person more at ease because they know if there is any type of emergency, if there's any type of issue, the caregiver has total access around them to make sure that they're safe. So when we're talking about these products, not only are these products better for the user from the standpoint of their adjustability, it also can help caretakers tremendously. And in this case, it can create a much better working environment for caretakers, and it can also prevent injuries. One other thing that is a benefit for if you're able to move the chair out more into the center instead of away from the wall, and that is that for the wheelchair user that wants to remain independent, it allows them to do transfers from either side. And we'll see this in a little greater detail with some additional slides, but usually when I was teaching this, I prefer to do, I think it's best for wheelchair users to do what they call a lateral transfer. And a lateral transfer is when the person with the wheelchair will actually just come up right beside the shower chair here, and then they will take their strong arm and grab onto this grab bar here, and then they will slide themselves from the wheelchair onto the shower chair. And why it's important to do this, to be able to do this from either side, is because this way it allows the wheelchair user to do the transfer from their strong side, what I like to call strong side transfers. If the shower chair rather is just over in the corner like it is here, then basically you're, well, in this case here for a left-handed user, the left-handed user, if they wanted to remain independent using the wheelchair, they would have to do what I call a weak side transfer, because they would have to be leading with their offhand. And that is very important when you're talking about doing patient or resident transfers, is understanding which is their strong side and which is their weak side. An example I like to use is that if you can imagine, if you're, say, like on a baseball mound, and you're the pitcher and you're getting ready to throw the ball to first base. If you throw the ball to first base, like my strong side is my right side, if I throw the ball to first base with my right hand, that's very easy to do. But if I try to throw the ball to first base with my left hand, it becomes tremendously difficult. There is, in all of us, there is a great deal of difference between our strong side and our weak side. And a lot of times as we age, for the elderly and for people with disabilities, that difference from strong side to weak side can be even more pronounced. So having the ability to do transfers from either side of the shower chair can be a huge advantage, and it can help to reduce fall risk. Now, I wanted to give you guys a look at what the shower chair actually looks like. So this next video was shot at our showroom in Denmark. The version that you're going to see here, this is the motorized version. There is also a manual version, which works very much like the manual sync version, where it's a crank. So you have both a motorized and a manual version in terms of the height adjustability of the chair. And this also comes with a remote. And you can see how easy it is to move up and down, making sure that our user gets a comfortable and safe fit so that they can maintain their independence. It folds up. Again, as we talked about that, the spacing requirements, so we're able to do more with a smaller footprint. And then this just goes into some of the other design elements. All of these design features and products that you see here are ADA approved. And so a lot of times we'll design a whole restroom above and beyond just the shower chair. Very, very easy. And so the next element that I wanted to go to are support arms. Support arms are very, very important for anyone that has any sort of mobility issue. There are currently 3 different types of support arms on the market. In this middle, if you see this middle picture here, this is just a standard stationary support arm. To be honest, I don't even spend a lot of time talking or discussing about a stationary support arm, because stationary support arms are just not as functional as they should be. The bottom line is that the population is way too diverse from an age standpoint, a size standpoint, a sex standpoint. There are just way too many variables in each individual to have stationary support arms anywhere. And then up here, we have, this is a support arm that is designed to be moved laterally. And we'll see some examples coming up as to why that's important. And then this support arm down here, if you can see where my cursor is, this support arm is designed to be moved both vertically up and down, and it can also be moved laterally. And these support arms, like all of the other products, they come in a wide variety of colors and a wide variety of sizes. It's just a matter of individual preference. Although a lot of times, especially if we're working with a user that's colorblind or a user that has certain cognitive ability difficulties, there are some color schemes that we do know works best for for people that have that issue. And so when that comes up, we may have a strong color recommendation or color preference to help that user to make sure that everything is safe and proper. This video here was actually filmed at our showroom in London in the United Kingdom. You can see the color of these support arms are a burgundy or rustic color. And I like to have this video because I just want to be able to show how easy it is to move these support arms up and down and to move them laterally, so that when you're thinking about the individual user, a tall user and then a short user, you can see how easy it is to manipulate the support arms up and down so that we get just the right fit, a customizable fit for each and every user that needs to use these support arms. All of the support arms fold up into the wall, which is a very important space savings. You can see how easy it is to move up and move down. And in that case, you can easily take them right off the wall if necessary. And so you can see there how easy they are to manipulate. And so again, when we're talking about a facility or even an individual home where you may have married, two people together that might be of different heights or have different needs in the restroom, you can see how easy it is to move the support arms appropriately so that each individual is getting the care that they need. You also see how easy it is to take the support arms on and off. So from that example that we were seeing before, if you can imagine a facility where they may want to have a lot of support arms in one restroom, and then they have
Herman, sorry to interrupt, but I can't
Hear you, Herman. Yeah, you
Okay.
dropped your audio.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, is it back now?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. I apologize for that. It's probably my internet connection here in Indiana. Anyways, I was saying, you can see how easy the support arms are to manipulate. And so not only for each individual, so that each individual has the support arms that they need to fit them, to make sure that they have a proper fit so that they can use the restroom properly, but also the support arms can easily be moved from one room to the other. As an example, I was out in Portland, Oregon, and I was at a hospital there, and I was doing training with their nursing staff on patient transfers and patient mobility. And I was working in the ICU room with the nursing staff, and we actually had one resident and one patient rather, and in her room, she was actually offended to think that anyone thought that she would need help using the restroom. And she absolutely, positively did not want to have those support arms in her room at all. She said she could not believe it. She was able-bodied and she did not want to have any support arms in her restroom. So to accommodate this patient, me and the nurse, we just went into her restroom and we just removed the support arms. And so having the ability to do things that easily really can benefit a facility, and it also can have benefit to people that want to remain at home as well. Now, when I used to give talks, I never used to include this this particular slide, but I do find that for people, a lot of times people aren't sure exactly how a transfer is done for a person that's in a wheelchair that wants to remain independent when using the commode. So this slide here shows the two most popular methods of doing a transfer. If you look up here, this first slide up here, I guess this would be step one. This is what we would call a lateral transfer. Now, the first thing you'll notice here is that this is an ADA compliant restroom, minus the vertical grab bar, which should be up here, which was just added a couple of years ago. But for our situation, that's not really relevant. So we have the commode here, which is 18 inches off the wall. Then we have our back grab bar here. We have another grab bar here, which is 42 inches long, and that grab bar is 1 foot off of the wall. And so here we have a lateral transfer where a person that's in a wheelchair and wants to remain independent, they come up to the side. They will then grab onto either the back grab bar or the rim of the commode. They will then slide themselves off and then use this grab bar here to stabilize themselves and straighten themselves. The second method of doing this, and by the way, this is what the ADA looks at this is how we ended up getting this ADA, commode 18 inches off the wall. Just so you know, there are a lot of us in this field that don't think that this is adequate. And frequently when we're working on projects where the ADA is not necessary, I have what I call working beyond the ADA, where we have solutions that work better than this, that are actually much cheaper and better for the user than what you see here. But because, especially if you happen to be involved in a public project where the ADA requirements are going to come in, you are basically going to have to stay in this lane, so to speak. This second example here, this is in this example, the person in the wheelchair is coming in from the side. And in this example, they are using the back grab bar here to slide themselves off of the commode, off of the wheelchair rather, onto the commode. And then in slide 4, they are using this grab bar again to straighten themselves up. And then they would again do that in reverse when they're finished, to move from the commode back onto the wheelchair. And so in terms of how a person in a wheelchair would do a transfer, these are the two areas, these are the two I guess the two modus of operandi where in terms of how a person would actually do that, who wishes to remain independent. Now, I really like this video because this video, first, it can be used as a training video to show exactly how people do transfers from wheelchairs to commodes. And then also this shows the really big importance of having support arms and grab bars and why they're so vital to any restroom setup. So this video was taken at our testing facility, and here they're testing the support arms to make sure that they are, properly indicated for use. You can see it's been tested to 500 pounds at its furthest projection, which is really, really good, above and beyond industry standards. this is our first model, and he is a double amputee.
A little louder, Herman.
I'm sorry?
Can't hear you so much.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I'll speak up a little bit. Okay. In this first example, can everyone hear me okay? Hello?
I think so. Go ahead.
Okay. Okay. In
There
this
you
first,
go. Yeah, that's good.
okay, excellent. In this first example, you see this model is doing a lateral transfer. Now, what I'd like for you to notice first is you see the importance of having your support arms that can fold back up into the wall. One of the reasons why the ADA has the rules that they have in place is because if you have grab bars just out over the commode and they don't fold back into the wall, then you end up with it like what I guess you could describe it as a cage going around the commode. And as a result, a person that's in a wheelchair won't have access. But in this case, because the grab bar folds up into the wall, now we get the best of both worlds because the wheelchair person has access. And as you'll see later, there's a huge benefit to having support arms on both sides of the commode. Okay, now you'll notice here, in terms of doing the transfer, this would be a lateral transfer. And there he's using the second grab bar here to support himself as he moves from the wheelchair onto the commode. One thing to look at, and this is important with your grab bars, is that you'll notice how often, a lot of times grab bars, they talk about weight coming down on the grab bar. But what you'll see when users actually use their grab bars or their support arms, a lot of times the weight is coming at an angle. So it's very important that the support arm be tested, not just in a downward motion, but also at a more lateral and angled motion. And you can see now he's getting off, and you see the importance again of that grab bar as he's moving himself back from the commode to the wheelchair. The other thing you'll notice here is making sure that the support arm is the proper height is very important. If this support arm were, if you see where my cursor is, if this support arm were down here, this could potentially be dangerous for him to attempt. And I have seen situations where a lot of times if the support arms aren't in a place that is best for the user, it can actually turn a user from an independent user to a dependent user just based on where the support arms are. But you can see how much easier and better that is. Now here, this is what they call a frontal transfer. I didn't include that because very few people can actually do frontal transfers. They're not taught that often, and for an elderly person to do a frontal transfer, it's just not, to be honest, it's just not going to happen. So usually your transfers are either lateral or they're oblique. But here is an example of a frontal transfer. Again, you see the importance of those grab bars, those support arms. Making sure those support arms are just the right height to make sure that this user can stay independent when using the restroom. Okay, I really like the model that they used in this next one because he's a really big guy, as you'll see. I would estimate he's probably 6'4", 6'5", and he's over 500 pounds. And this is important because for most medical institutions, most facilities, they regard anyone 500 pounds and over to be bariatric. So this would be considered a bariatric user. So making sure that your grab bars, your support arms can take bariatric use is also very important. He's a really big guy. See, 507 pounds. Okay, so you see his size And you can watch even for a standing user. If we're thinking about a standing user who has mobility in their legs, but they're elderly and they want to stay in their own home, look at how important having these support arms are. Oh, let me go back. Sorry about that. Let me see if I can move this back along a little bit. Here we go. Okay, first of all, you'll notice that the support arms are holding well, and see how important those support arms are to making sure that he can get up properly. There are people like this who, because the support arms aren't adjusted at the proper height, may require an additional caretaker when using the restroom, when if they had support arms that were properly fitted to him, they could remain independent when using the restroom. You also see how, because he's a taller person, these support arms need to be a little higher. But if the next person were to use the restroom, let's say a 5'2" woman or something, these support arms might be too high and you could actually lead to a shoulder injury. So we want to make sure that we can lower the support arms for her, so we're getting that individualized fit. You'll also notice the importance that because he's a larger person, having support arms that can move laterally, also very important. And all of this can funnel into making sure that we are keeping people independent when they're using the restroom for as long as possible. Okay, here again, this would be a lateral transfer. Look at the weight and the pressure that he's putting on that grab bar. That's very important. And you can see now a lateral transfer back. Again, look how important that support arm is in terms of making sure it's at the right height and the right width. And I like this because this is, in terms of our users, that's what our clientele looks like. Those are the people that we're trying to help, that we're trying to keep independent. And again, you can see here with the test results, this is where we get the indication for bariatric usage. Okay, let me see if I can do this properly. Are there residential private home versions of these products? Okay. Yes, these are used in both private and residential areas. They can be used in both. And a lot of our business is actually in private homes and residents. And so, and in terms of resident installation, it's really not that difficult. The only challenge with this is getting the wall track put in place. And once you have the wall track in place, then these pieces just snap on and off. And in terms of doing the wall track, I've actually installed 2 of them myself. It's really not that difficult. It's something that any installer should be able to do. And we provide really good guides and manuals depending on the surface, being able to find the studs in the walls. It's really not that difficult. And then the last part, what if any other challenges of a residential installation? It's really the same. It's the same for both the residential installation as it would be for a facility installation. And again, it's not that difficult. Once you have that wall track in place, then you're good to go. And in terms of the ongoing cleaning and maintenance requirement, well, all of our products and services, they carry, you can get warranties of anywhere from 3 to 5 years that is fully guaranteed. And in terms of cleaning, your standard cleaning supplies, your standard cleaning agents, those will work just fine. Just remember that, especially if this is going into a private residence, these types of products, they are designed to be used in hospitals and in assisted living facilities, where your infection control is an absolute utmost. So having the ability to work in those types of environments, moving into a home care environment or an environment at home really isn't too much an issue. The cost of the wall track, it can vary. It just depends on the size. $1,500 would more than cover, I would say, pretty much anything in terms of a standard restroom if you wanted to put a wall track in place. And then once you have the wall track in place, then you're just buying the parts like like for instance, the shower chair, it just clips on and off. The support arms, you can purchase the support arms and they just clip on and off. And so when you're talking about basically a home care system, let's say in a private residence, this is something that literally can keep a person in their home. And when you think about as we all age, the one place where we would most like to have privacy is in the restroom. And as you saw there in that last video, these types of products can keep a person independent when they're using the commode, when they're using the bathroom. And so from a cost standpoint, and again, that's just a ballpark figure, quite honestly, for what they do, it's really not that expensive. One thing that we do that can help, if you have a project in mind or a project that you're working on, and this can be both for a home, like a private residence, or for a facility, we do have a team of architects and engineers. We can take the design plan and we can actually draw up and put all of the elements in place that you or your customer would want. We can even provide images that you can then take and show your client, and we can put different color schemes, and depending upon the time, I can actually show you some examples for some of the projects that we're working on, assisted living projects, hospital projects, airport projects. We have a lot of different things going on, and we can do that imaging, and it doesn't cost you anything. A lot of times architects find that it can help their clients, and it just gives your clients or your customers an idea of everything that's out there and everything that's available, so that if they truly want to have 100% accessibility for everyone in the restroom, in a restroom environment, this can be an option that can help. I hope that answered both of those questions okay.
Herman, we about the end of our time.
Okay,
is there anything else you wanted to cover?
One other thing real quick. I just wanted to show just two more videos. They're both quick. This is our height adjustable commode. And this works very much like you saw with the other products. And it works with the same philosophy, where if you have someone where, again, they want to have that privacy element and they want to remain independent when using the height adjustable toilet, this could be an option for them. It works really well. It can be used with standard American plumbing, very easy to install. It even comes with a remote control. And you see you have the adjustable support arms, like what we spoke about before. It can be a really, really good option, especially for a private residence. If you have someone that maybe they're building their forever home and they want to maintain their independence in the restroom. The other thing I wanted to show real quickly, this is our height adjustable kitchen. The company has had so much success working in bathrooms that they're moving into the kitchen area. And so we now make height adjustable countertops and height adjustable cabinets that can work for people that want kitchens that are truly accessible to everyone. And what's good about this system is that with this system, what you're looking at here are just the motors. So they can choose any type of countertop that they want, any type of cabinet that they want. You can put a stove in it, so you can have a height adjustable stove. If you have an elderly person that still wants to cook, but wants the stove lowered so it's safer for them. Great for people with wheelchairs. It's something else that we offer. And of course, if anyone has any interest in any of these other products, I'm always available and we can talk more about that in detail. And with that, I will wrap up.
Herman, I think we've answered most of the questions that were coming in. Any really quick questions we can pose to Herman? Otherwise, we're going to call it a day for this presentation. Terrific. Appreciate everyone's attendance and interest. And Herman, thanks for a really thorough presentation. I'm sure we'll have some more comments and questions as we go along.
Excellent. Okay, thank you so much. I'm sorry for running a little bit long. I have a tendency to get long-winded on a couple of things, but I really do appreciate everyone's time.